Well, welcome back. It's the news review belt of the show. And as usual, we have a stack of newspapers, but I'm not going to be doing it alone. Mama V. Owusu-Abuaje will be joining us from Parliament and sharing with us her thoughts as well. So I'll kickstart the discourse, and then via Zoom we'll join Mama V to find out what papers she has and what she can tell us by way of headlines. Over here in the studio, I have the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Publisher, the Custodian, the Daily Dispatch, Republic Press, and the Daily Searchlight. Let's quickly take a look at the headlines right before we dig into them. And the Daily Graphic, that's where I'll start. It says, Budget Today, first to be read by non-finance minister. And that's a novelty being highlighted by the Daily Graphic there. We do know that now the majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu, is actually going to step in as caretaker minister. This was an issue raised by the minority side about why he was presenting the budget when no proper arrangements had been made. Then there's focus, roads, industrialization, digitization. That's what to look forward to in the budget statement. But we'll get the nitty-gritty and find out what exactly will be said on that beat. There will be no doomsday power utilities. Sure, in recent times, the IPPs have also given voice to their concerns. We'll get more details from that story on page 13. President swears in regional ministers, and Graphic Access Bank signed pact on SME clinic. You can also get this bit, 27,110 jobs to be created this year. That's according to the GIPC. And there's an update on COVID-19 a year down the line. And yesterday we brought you extensive coverage of the coronavirus as far as its impact on our country has been for exactly 1 year. The Daily Graphic also says on the back page, body of 13th victim in Apam drowning incident retrieved. And Japan, UNIDO to boost local production of PPE. Let's quickly take a look at the publisher newspaper. Lotto companies laud KGL for showing leadership. Defense minister calls for probe into electoral violence from 1992. So not just to focus on maybe the recent incidents in Ayawaso West Wogon, but since 1992. Damfa chief supports minister, and Parliament okays 16 ministers. Those are the regional ministers. And that's it for the Ghanaian publisher. The Daily Dispatch now, let that be the next one. It is possible to get female Ghanaian presidents. That's according to the Chief of Staff, Madam Frima Osei Opare. And President-elect Akufo-Addo encouraged me to accept Mahama's appointment in December 2016. This was before Mr. President actually took the oath of the president. That's according to Domelevo there, former Auditor General. When you go to the middle spread of the Daily Dispatch, is Ugandan democracy in jeopardy as Museveni extends rule to 40 years? And that's a question with regard to, a lot of these leaders on the continent who have been there for 25, 30, 40 years. And the question is what exactly they have delivered in their countries. We need integrity because we are the voice of the nation, Bishop Ajinasari to Men of God, and composition, size and age of population in Upper East region. Check out the details in the middle spread of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. On the back page, Sami James-Fee, Hall Sami James-Fee before Privileges Committee. That's according to former MP. Find out why. It is highly possible to get a female Ghanaian president. That's according to the Chief of Staff. So very quickly before we cross over to Mama V in Parliament. Parliament approves 16 regional ministers, and it's the Custodian newspaper now. Dog meat shortage hits Sandema market. Let's all prevent electoral violence. That's according to Nitiwo. And NDC endorses Sami James-Fee for insulting speaker and leaders. Let's cross over now and find out what Mama V. Owusu-Abuaje has to share with us. I know she has the Daily Statesman newspaper, the Finder newspaper, and at least the Daily Guide for now. Mama V, over to you from Parliament. What are the major headlines?
So I've got the Ghanaian Times, and I don't know if you've gone through the Ghanaian Times already, but I've got the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, and the Finder newspaper. So I'm just going to go according to the way I have them.
Sure.
On the front page of the Ghanaian Times this morning, budgets must offer job creation, tax incentives, TUC, Guta, others expect. So lots of expectations, obviously, for this budget today. Obuasi police kill 2 suspected robbers in gun battle. Majority Leader present 2021 budget statement today. 4 persons in military vehicle attack and 4 persons in military vehicle attack Sun winners. 5 sustain gunshot injuries. So that's how the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper looks like. I don't have my favorite page, which is page 3, which carries the crime stories in detail. Maybe Ben can help me out there. But on the back page of the paper, workers call for 24-hour patrols of rail lines to prevent stealing by scrap dealers. And MIDA procures 3 transformers for Kaswa BSP project. If you look at the center spread, a bit of details on the budget statement today, but there's also details of that expectation by the Trades Union Congress, which says budgets must offer hope and job creation. Police or public wants tax incentives, credit facilities for businesses. Remember the freebies that I mentioned a while back? Well, people also have a lot of expectations. Would it be goody-goody out there for people? I guess we wait to see in this budget. Or it will be Osei Chairman Sabonsu telling us to lower our expectations because we've got some hard times ahead. PURC investigates cause of power outages is also another story in the center spread of the paper. Now from the Ghanaian Times, I'll move on to the Daily Guide newspaper. And on the front page, 16 NPP MPs rejected Nana ministers. Majority Leader present 2021 budget today. Regional ministerial nominees approved. KGL lottery bailout hailed. And if we pull the center spread, which also usually carries some entertainment stories, it says Ebony's crash driver caged. U.S. government asked court to block information on, and I've got to open this up a bit so I can see it much clearer. Okay, is it a hush puppy victims and others? Ben usually has a lot more information on such stories, so I'll leave the details to Ben. And I don't support same-sex marriage. That's Nana Ajua Awendo there. Saying other stories in the center spread of the paper that you can check out. Onto the back page, there's a Kotoko story here, and it says Kotoko Kunedu smoke peace pipe. That's the former trainer of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And then renowned ring announcer extols Ato, a man who celebrated his birthday yesterday, got a big shout on Twitter from celebrated international boxing ring announcer and actor. So you can check out details of that story as well. I'll leave the rest of the sports stories maybe for our sports team who will take over after the review. The last paper that I have, the Finder newspaper, on the front page, economic cost of COVID-19 outlined. Special prosecutor should be selected by Public Services Commission through competitive processes. That's the IEA making that call. Also, Dr. Baumia pushes for continental petroleum storage facilities and refineries. Employers Association expects pragmatic initiative in 2021 budgets. Agongo said 25,000 Ghana cedis was for Dr. Oponing to support needy children, according to CID investigators. And this is all related to that court case that is continuing. Cocoa can serve as reforestation, according to the Cocoa Board boss, and FDIs soar by 139% in 2020. That's how the front page of the Finder newspaper looks like. Ben?
Okay, so this is what we're going to do, Mama V. I'll come through with a few more headlines and then come back to you for some details. At least I know you're going to be digging into the Ghanaian Times newspaper, so I'll be coming back to you shortly. But the Republic Press this morning says frontline staff of Tamale Teaching Hospital to withdraw services today over unpaid allowances. Then Kennedy Japan pledges to support Akufo-Addo with $1 million for COVID-19 vaccines. So that a charitable gesture there. Nanado's anti-corruption credibility nailed in the coffin. That's according to Professor Jimabwedi, and a lot of CSOs, among others, have gone after the president in the fight against, corruption, so to speak, especially in light of what happened recently concerning the former Auditor General, Daniel Yao Domelevo. Akufo-Addo retires lotto boss and sacks deputy. And simply put, the president has ordered the Director General of the National Lottery Authority, Mr. Kofi Osei-Ameyaw, to proceed on a retirement. He's been given his marching orders, and the deputy as well being shown the red card, so to speak. Chachu starts fresh case on KSM show. Find that on page 3. And then Victor Newman goes home tomorrow. That story is on page 4. Victor Newman, of course, founding member of the NPP and director of research at the office of the president until his demise. When you go to the middle spread of the paper, there are details there of Professor Jimabwedi's comments. We'll get into that. I'm still a bona fide member of the NDC. That's according to Koku Anyidoho. And Henry Opong is actually saying it's too premature to promote Alan or Bawumia presidential candidacy. Henry Opong, the Bronga Hafu Regional New Patriotic Party's Bono Regional Financial Secretary, saying that. Let's move on now to the Daily Searchlight. Take advantage of after Bawumia urges petroleum downstream industry players. And then 100 billion Ghana Cedi Obatampa program to revitalize economy. That's according to Akufo-Addo. I'll wrap with the Business and Financial Times making quite a statement here today. The economists coming together, the likes of Professor Peter Quarty and Dr. Patrick Assuming. And it has to do with the 2021 budget, that it must be clear on the path to recovery. That's what the economists are saying. We're moving on now to the Business and Financial Times. And it also says it must not introduce new taxes, it must grow the private sector, and it must outline debt management strategies. So those are some of the focal areas there. When you go to the middle spread, some of those very stories captured. On the back page of the paper, we should not categorize people under gender stereotypes. And that is the Senior Manager Human Resource at AngloGold Ashanti saying that. Finally, Canada donates 50 vehicles for agric extension. Mamavi, if you can hear me, let's cross over back to you in Parliament and get some details, highlights from the stories in the Ghanaian Times and beyond that you want to bring us this morning.
Yeah, sure. I finally got my favorite page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. So let me take you through some of the stories there. It's been reported that 2 suspected robbers were killed by the Obuasi Police Divisional patrol team during a gun battle on Wednesday. Now, one of the suspects managed to escape during the exchange of gunfire, while the deceased are yet to be identified. But this is what they got: AK-47 rifle with 5 empty shells, a locally manufactured gun, and an unused BB cartridge. Also retrieved were an AK-47 assault rifle, magazine loaded with 30 rounds of ammunition, and 20 live BB cartridges concealed in a plastic bag, and 4 mobile handsets. So there's more being shared by the Ashanti Regional Police Public Relations Officer in the paper today in terms of details of that incident. I'm excited that they did manage to gun down some of them, but worried because one of them also escaped. Now there's one more body in a Palm Beach drowning retrieved, which brings the number to 13. We also do know that the president has made some donations to the families of the dead. So basically that's what's on page 3, and that's what I can share with you from the Ghanaian Times newspaper. What I have left, Ben, is myjoyonline.com. So anything that you want to put the spotlight on?
Well, let me start from in studio. So what I'll do, Mama V, is that I'll come through with some stories, and then we can wrap with the online portals, My Joy Online, and maybe some of the international portals from your end. So let's dig into the Daily Graphic newspaper now. And the major story there, of course, budget to be read today. Let's get into that. And it says, Today is budget day, and the government will outline bold policies backed by action plans to revitalize and stabilize the economy. The budget and economic policy of the government to be presented by the Majority Leader and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, will focus on stabilization policies underpinned by innovative revenue measures, all geared towards preparing the economy for transformational growth. So the areas of focus, now multiple sources in government have told the Daily Graphic that one of the key areas on which the budget will focus is the road sector, since the president has declared 2021 as the year of roads. Remember, last year we had, the same mantra, but on the back of COVID-19, there were comments passed about how its feasibility and otherwise. So we are returning to that this year. And it was mentioned in President Akufo-Addo's SONA last Tuesday, pointing out that the budget would expand on what his government would like to pursue in the roads sector, deepening the industrialization drive, the digitization of the economy, improving domestic revenue collection, and the provision of affordable housing also being in focus. Look, if you're getting a bit confused, if you're getting all concerned about these words and all of that, we're going to break them down on the show today from Parliament, and also in studio as we host former Finance Minister Seth Terkper. So just hold on and we'll break all of them down, and so you can digest them properly. And Seth Terkper, whom we host this morning, has commented in an interview with the Daily Graphic yesterday ahead of the budget. He advised government to use innovative policies and programs in the 2021 budget to drive the country out of the difficult fiscal situation in which it finds itself. And so those are some major things to look forward to. But for you out there watching us, what are your expectations? What are you looking forward to? The hashtag is AM Show. Do reach out to us. Let us hear from you on social media. I think that will be basically it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. Most of the other stories already brought to you. But since we're focusing on the budget, let's go to the Business and Financial Times. It says 2021 budget must be clear on path to recovery. That's also on page 3. And the story saying there, 2021 budget, it is budget day again, and citizens, investors from around the world and other stakeholders are itching to hear the country's economic policies for the rest of the year and how it will affect their lives. Let's go back to the debt situation. And it says, according to a statement from the Ministry of Finance, the budget statement will focus primarily on prudent policies to bring the economy back on track, and will also touch on the continuation of government priority programs to ensure economic growth. Granted, high debt level is not new to the economy, as all 5 administrations under the Fourth Republic have been saddled with debt at a point in their governance. However, the situation has been worsened by the coronavirus pandemic, which has given government more impetus to borrow in the name of we are not in normal times. But the questions the economists are asking have to do with depleting revenue and ailing private sector. And the economists want to see more from the budget. As I intimated earlier, they are talking about, first of all, not introducing new taxes, not because that would put a further burden on the ordinary Ghanaian. A lot of businesses have collapsed on the back of the banking sector, fix-up, and again, the coronavirus disease. They are asking that government must put in measures to grow the private sector and outline debt management strategies, some intimating that our debt levels have hit 75%. That is the debt to GDP ratio, which would put us at critical point. How exactly will the budget statement address these? We look forward to getting into some of those. Now, I'll take these stories from Republic Press, 2 interesting ones, and it ties into other matters that we are all concerned about at this point in time. Page 6, saying frontline staff of Tamale Teaching Hospital to withdraw services today over unpaid allowances. And so it talks about the fact that they are actually embarking on the strike action today, over selective administration of COVID-19 vaccines and unpaid allowances. The doctors, nurses, pharmacists, lab technicians, orderlies and security workers say the situation has led to lack of motivation to deliver their services. And these are workers, frontline workers at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Let's cross over now quickly to Mama V. We have some 3 minutes more. Mama V, what can you share with us on the international front and also from My Joy Online?
Okay, I want us to start from home. So myjoyonline.com is where I begin. And one of the big stories that came out yesterday is what's making headlines. If you open the page up, Akufo-Addo retires Director General of National Lottery Authority, Kofi Osei Amayao. He's actually retired, except that the president gave him a one-year contract, and he wrote back to the presidency to remind the president that that one-year contract had come to an end. Following that, we've heard from the presidency. They've thanked him for his services. That one-year contract has ended. But I guess it's the backstory that excites many, because we know that early this month, workers of the National Lotteries Authority demonstrated. They insist that they did not go on strike, but they have not been happy with the management style of, say, Amayao, and especially also because they have not been able to pay some big wins recently. And the union is obviously excited about this turn of events. So Akufo-Addo retires Director General of National Lottery Authority, Kofi Osei Amayao is a leading story there. But if you run through down the page, you'd see Osei Mensah-Bonsu appointed caretaker Minister for Finance. Is a temporal position, by the way. Apam drowning death toll increases to 13. Woman dies in hole after boyfriend allegedly assaulted her. We talked about this and shared this yesterday when we were doing the review, Ben. And here's the man that you're hosting a bit later on this morning after sports at Tekpe, who's already said that the 2021 budget will be a tough one. And yesterday, Joy News, all the Joy platforms went big on COVID-19 1 year on. So you can also read the impact of COVID-19 on the church 1 year on. Another angle to the many stories that we shared with you yesterday. And the president has disclosed that the COVID-19 pandemic cost Ghana 25.3 billion, not million, 25.3 billion Ghana cedis. Ben, I have to ask you, have you considered quitting your job?
Well, that's a tough question.
And getting into farming, maybe?
No, I haven't. At least not currently.
So I can't retire you, huh?
No, you can't retire me. Not yet.
Well, I've seen a story on my jawline. The story on my jawline really encourages me. And so effective from this morning, I'm thinking about it. Here's a young lady who left her lucrative job, if you like, white-collar job, and decided that she wanted to go into farming. She did face some challenges. The first 2 years, she went through the shock of her life when 87 pigs, 93 rabbits, and 22 sheep, in total 202, were poisoned. But she did not give up. Nanampoma Entimpim is her name, and that story is on myjoyonline.com. Right now, she's got 76 pigs and 46 rabbits. All sheep pens are now empty, but she's not giving up. And I'm taking a lot of inspiration from her this morning as I go through the story on myjoyonline.com, Ben. So maybe you can start counting my days. The next time you see me, Ben, I'll be a proud farmer.
I'll call you Farmer Mama V. Anyway, I think we all should go into farming one of these days. Very lucrative if you do it on a large scale, at least with animals as well. So thank you very much, Mama V, for connecting with us. And we shall intermittently be connecting with you from the August House of Parliament as the members of Parliament trickle in and as the Majority Leader also comes to deliver the budget statement. It's a wrap for the news review.